dreaming. Well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. When I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home with you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. And I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles and fall down at your door. When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I broke, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's growing over you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
Muted. We're live. Let's go. Okay, so today is going to be an amazing live stream. We are going live. Sorry, Harrison's in the background for the first time. Ben is not able to make it tonight. He's got an emergency. Harrison is in the back end. We are going live with Peter Thomas on tool design. Peter and I go back a long way, and it's going to be a really fun night. So we're going to start on the hour. Mute Pete.
There we go. We're all here. We've got a full screen.
That's great. We're muting all of you, and I'm going to buzz you on how we are going about this. So between the o'clock, between 10 to and the hour, we basically run some, background music and some we're going to fill it up with fun stuff. But from 3 minutes to the hour, I will explain for you what is Service Six Sigma. Service Six Sigma is about the service industry. It doesn't matter carpet cleaning as we see it, as we want it to go. A carpet cleaning, roof cleaning, pressure washing, power washing, soft washing, and window cleaning, and anything which is to do with service. And yesterday we had Perry, another Perry, right, from Atlas Movers, and he has a service business for moving removals. So it's the service industry. And the Six Sigma part is about what Six Sigma is in business. If you go to Wikipedia or whatever, it's the process of perfecting. It's a process of perfecting processes by the removal of things that go wrong. In other words, everybody knows that shit happens. What do you do about that, and how do you stop that from happening again? And that is the key to the Six Sigma process. So what we're doing is we're coming in and talking with you guys. And having guests and having you as a guest, anybody who's got anything which they think they've got down pat, then we want to be able to share with you and just have you as a guest. So today's guest is Peter Thomas, and we're going to talk about tool design, because that's the perfecting of tools and the efficiency of operators because of those tools. And we're joined also by Noah, the great Noah from Alternative Window Cleaning, KCMO. And so what we also did, just so you can see how we've done it, we've broken the definition of a business into 6 sectors. And then every time we're talking about a sector when we have a particular live stream. Today's one is about deliver, but I'll go through them. Attract. You attract a customer. Then we want to AC. We want to convert. AC. ACD. We want to deliver the service. ACDC. We want to control. Right, so it's ACDC are the first 4, and those are the 4 that we're working on a continual basis. Right, is how do you attract a customer? How do you convert a customer? How do you deliver the service to the customer? And how do you control the systems and processes? Once you've got those, we go to the 5th sector, which is scale. You can now scale the business because you've actually got a business to scale. And once you've scaled and you're as rich can be, then you're well resourced to give back and to help other people. It's cascading, isn't it? Like we learned from somebody else, we teach somebody else, and they come up, and we, retire. Okay. Hey, Harrison, let me know when you come on. How is my sound? It is 9 o'clock. We want to introduce you to the great and the one and only Peter Thomas, Noah, and Harrison. Woohoo! Now, everybody unmute. Yes. Unmute. There we are. Noah is here. Peter is here. How are you, Pete?
I's here.
There you are. You're a little bit fuzzy, but you look younger.
You're an old fart, yeah.
That's it. You don't look wrinkly to us, but I mean, it's the content. I wonder how we can get that better, Harrison. Can you think about how to get Pete's image better?
I don't think it's the smudgy camera, Pete. I'm pretty sure it's your bandwidth.
Connection.
Bandwidth. Can you jump in and turn off everything else, Pete, in your that might be pulling stuff down?
We'll give it a
Let's
go.
get that,
We can do that.
because the reason we want to do that is we actually want to see stuff that you've got there. So if it's all too grainy, it might not be as delightful. So Noah, I'll give you a background. Pete and I go back one really long time, and as it's gone on, we've become friends, and he's friends with my daughter Harrison's sister in Perth also, and their family. But Pete and Byron are really the even though I claim it as Kiwi ingenuity, they are the core module of ingenuity in the modern Reach It tools. I'm getting feedback from somebody's.
What did we
speaker.
say a little while ago? Hold on, stupid machine.
You don't want to be carrying me.
No, we said that when that little Kiwi item came on. Yeah.
they got
about
really shitty because I
New
claimed it.
Zealand.
We've got on our boxes. On our boxes, we
Perfected
got
in Australia
Kiwi
and
and
around the world.
Kiwi ingenuity, perfected in Australia and perfected around the world. But to be honest, it's probably Australian ingenuity, claimed by a Kiwi and set around the world.
Yeah. That's
Kiwi
better.
means New Zealander. Noah, just in case you don't know us people from
Gotcha.
down under.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Aussies
They're
and
from
Kiwis.
across the Dutch.
Down Underians. Yeah, we have a Dutch. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, that's not working, Pete. I wonder why that. It does look like bandwidth, doesn't it, Harry?
It does look like bandwidth. I think it's bandwidth.
All right,
So
we're going to
your
do our
topic-
best then, Pete.
Your topic for today, Pez. Let's get into it.
Yeah, tool design. So this is a very, very typical area of Six Sigma. The process of perfecting something based on what went wrong with something. So you do your very best. I had an idea originally. Pete, do you have any beta brushes there? There it is. So the first
The
brush
original.
this is the original first brush that I made,
Wow.
and it's a broom style brush. It was incredibly popular, wasn't it, Pete?
Really?
Like everybody loved it. Like when that came out, that was the best brush for the guys that bought it. They go, that dual trim, 2-colored brush. So we made other ones that were horrible. We made flock bristle brushes. We tried everything. We made all sorts of different brushes. And we put 4 in a pack and sent them out to everybody. And the angle adapters snapped because we didn't get the plastics right, and this went wrong and that went wrong. But the brush itself, if you have a look at it, show the back of it, Pete. We were the first people to go from 2 jets to 4 jets. Right? So now you can buy a Tucker brush with 4 jets. We're talking 12 years ago. This was us. This is where we were at. And we had different, those bristles in the middle were a different diameter, the cross-sectional diameter. So they were stiff, so they held the brush firmly. But you can see that there's anywhere where there's pencil jets, the manufacturer has to leave a hole where they don't put bristles.
Right.
And then you have these stripes where you've got less agitation. Right? All of the pencil jet brushes have to have less bristles where the jets are, and not just for the 1/8 of an inch or whatever where the jet is. It's that. Now, Pete, the other thing we did with that, is there a way that you can show that those jets actually unscrew? Can you remember that? Oh, what did we do? Oh, yeah, look at this. So we made those jets. What everybody does still till today, there it is. And that is a 2 millimeter or a 1/12 of an inch orifice on that jet. That's a big jet hole.
Big hole.
But everybody till today actually just gets a drill and drills a hole in the plastic where there's no staples for the bristles, and then hammers in a brass 1 millimeter, 1/24 of an inch jet, and then jams
still made.
jams a tube on it.
Wow.
Just drill a hole, hammer in a.
A very early type of riv nut, really.
Yeah, what we did is embedded a nut, a hex nut, right? We embedded that in the brush itself so we could change the jet. So if you had low water pressure, you could use a smaller jet orifice and squirt the water further. Because what happens, the final resistance in any fluid dynamic system has on one side of it pressure, that's your supply side, and on the other side is, we say no pressure, right? Because it's into air. In fact, it's 1 atmosphere of pressure because that's the weight of the atmosphere, but that's irrelevant to the conversation. We just basically say you've got, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 psi behind it, and you've got this. As you make that orifice smaller, the pressure, the back pressure builds up. So and the flow rate is a constant, right? So for the same flow rate to get through a smaller hole, it has to go through faster. When it goes through faster, it squirts further. right? Because its velocity is faster, so it goes further. So that's what determines when you go, oh, I've got no pressure. You've got pressure. Your orifice is too big. I shouldn't say that, but anyway.
So when you made that first brush, that was the first one you made, you said, right?
Yeah.
So behind that, I mean, you took a normal water fed pole brush that had 2 pencil jets, and your main reasoning for making another one. The different is it different? It's not Boris hair and nylon, right? It's still nylon. It's just different.
Yeah, it's still nylon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing you want to do is see, like, hey, I want to see if we can do 4 pencil jets across it. Gotcha.
Get the rinse. Rinse is everything. And even if you the agitate. So there's 2 steps to cleaning a window. Agitate. When you agitate, you disturb a debris into suspension. Right. Salt can go into solution, but most of the stuff we deal with as window cleaners goes into suspension. In other words, it's in the water. But if you if you caught that water in a jug and then waited an hour, it'll all be at the bottom because it's just suspended. Right. It's not even suspended at that point. It just drops out of the water. You know what I mean? So rinse is everything. You got to get that stuff off the glass. Otherwise, you're always chasing it. If you get a little dribble of a pencil jet and you have to chase a spider web down, it's 1 minute, you're gone, chasing one spider web. Right. I like to
try to follow you as you invent all your stuff and see. Okay, so he came out with this one. What did he want to add to the next brush? What did he like and keep, and then take? You know what I mean? I'm always interested in that. But go ahead. I apologize for interrupting.
No, that's fine. No, you don't need to apologize. Pete, you go to what you think, what you saw is next, and I'll see if I can find Logan's brush that he sent to me. I think I know where it is.
No, you want those boxed ones.
I'll come to those in a second. Hang on a second, mate. Hang on a second. I'm sure. I'm in my house.
What are you getting?
I'm looking for the brush.
You're doing like a whole walkthrough of your house. We just got this blank screen. We're just seeing this nice reflection of the ocean, and you're supposed to be talking about pool design.
Right. Well, I can't find it, but Logan sent me. Logan, when I went to Harry and I went to IWCA, and NOLA, and Logan Wilder came up with that brush that you see there, and he'd got a bit of 8mm tube and put it across the top and drilled holes in it, and that was the first rinse bar. We think the first rinse bar on a waterfed brush that we think, right? That actually was across the top of the waterfed brush.
Well, no, that's not true. No, I'm going to correct you there, Tucker. The Tucker brush the first original Tucker brush had fan jets on the top.
Yes, but there wasn't a rinse bar. It wasn't a rinse bar. So that's if you go back, where's Noah? He's gone.
Noah's here. Sorry.
I'm still here.
Don't take him off. Yeah.
I'm not Epic Ben. I've not figured this out properly
yet. You're fine. You're doing great, man.
So I'll give you the real history behind this. Is that I went to Australia and I went to Melbourne, and there was a guy there who'd been selling Tucker for 20 or 30 years. And in his shed, he had an original Tucker brush, never sold, right? Oh, wow. He'd bought the business off somebody else or whatever. And the original Tucker brush had a fan jet across the top, right? And I just blew my mind. I go, that makes so much sense. Of course you want the water over the brush, And I'd also tried it. We made a thing called a scorpion. Do you remember that, Pete?
Yeah.
We made a scorpion. We made a little device.
I don't want to remember.
No. So we actually tried to follow that idea. And it was a little scorpion. So you had your brush here, and then it had a little scorpion where you could adjust it so you could get the angle right, bring it back, and try and spray the water across the top of the brush. Because I realized that the Tucker boys, they were the inventors of waterfed, and they got it right at the beginning, but they couldn't perfect the process. So what they did is, because when you wet over the top of where you've agitated, you introduce the dirt from the frame or above the frame, wherever you are. If you introduce the dirt into the rinse water, and you don't get a spot-free rinse. So they compromised and went to pencil jets. And for the next 50 years, everybody copied the compromise. So even till today, now it's 65 years later, everybody's still putting pencil jets in and thinking that pencil jets are the answer. But the original Tucker design actually was over the top rinse. He knew what it was right, but he couldn't do it. And nobody went back to say, how do we look at what we can do with technology? And that's, what me and Pete have worked on all this time, right? So how do we get that rinse over the top and not wet above where you've agitated, right?
Right.
So it goes like that. Pete, how did we meet? I can't remember. I think you know.
What, the rinse bar?
No, how did we meet?
Then
Then we'll go to rinse bars.
Telephone calls when you're in Australia.
Oh.
And I was looking at, shut up, ambulance. I was looking at removing explosives from mine site boreholes. Because
and you were going to put a pole. You were going to put the pole in to take the explosive out
of the bottom of the pole.
That was you.
Yeah. So basically, cost-wise, on a mine site, for those who don't know, mine sites in WA, they're just everywhere. They've usually got a hole bored down about 15 metres, say. And
which is about 50 feet.
Yeah, we put a detonator into what we call a booster. The booster would be about this big, and that's 500 grams of high explosives. That would,
which is about a pound.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's just got a plastic cover on it with a hole in the middle. So you put the detonator in and loop it in, and then lower it down to the bottom, lift it up a little bit, and put your other explosives in with it. Sometimes they fell down. You'd have an accident or something would slip and it'll go down the bottom. The estimated cost of loss of production and man hours was about $5 million for each one.
Wow.
By the time you've got to get surveyors in there, you've got to only dig down a couple of feet at the time, reassess, and this could go on for a couple of weeks. So I thought there's got to be a way of removing these. And we tried bits of string and little grappling hooks, little tiny ones. But the problem we had was ignition points. We couldn't have any. It had to be stainless or something like that, non-conductive.
Right.
And I thought, maybe a pole. And I was just Googling one night and I saw these poles and chatting with Perry. He says, we do the same things over in the Middle East somewhere. Going up and extracting stuff and depositing. I thought, that might work. So, just thinking about it. It would have worked. It would have been very awkward. And I ended up actually going down the track of a very thin fiberglass rod, which had male and female ends on, about 1 metre long. Because we could bend
like a drain
sort
thing.
of electricians
or an air
use it,
conditioning
running through roofs.
An electrician. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
running snakes through roofs for long distances, but they're flexible.
Yeah, basically a snake thing.
Yeah, and non-conductive. And
so you weren't even a window cleaner then, right?
I was in the background in my days off.
Right.
Because we were working 2 weeks on, 1 week off. So I've been doing that for 1,000 years.
And this is a thing. What Pete was on the mine site is I'll work it out guy, weren't you? I talked to your boss one day on the phone, your old boss, but they said anything we went wrong, it's like, where's Pete? He'll work it out. You know,
he's a MacGyver. A MacGyver is what it sounds like.
yeah, he's a MacGyver,
true MacGyver.
100%.
Yeah, job description was a bit vague sometimes.
That's it.
Can make anything out of nothing. Peter
Yes.
Thomas, your guy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
sort of.
Exactly.
I could find things.
Mhm.
Yes. He has a way. So then, so that's when Pete and I got together. So we released after we went through the beta brush design, and we realized there's no such thing as a universal brush, which is a concept that has not taken on the industry, right? Basically they're all the same with different. Maybe a different bristle, maybe 2 jets, 4 jets, whatever. Now there's a bolt-on rinse bar, which doesn't really make a huge difference compared to pencil jets, right? But I thought what we need to do is we need to make a brush that's completely interchangeable, and each customer can make the brush that he needs, right?
Yes.
So it came out in a box like this, and you'd have a 14-inch, a 16-inch, or a 20-inch brush, right? We used the same box for all 3. We thought that was pretty innovative, right? And Pete just gave me these when I was over. I was staying at his place a few months ago. I was sick as a dog. It wasn't much fun, was I, Pete? But anyway. But and this is the original constructor brush, and it's got an aluminum channel, aluminium for us down under, and then it had a center. It had jets across the top. These are before cannons. Later on, it became cannons because they kind of sprayed in funny directions as well. But they were all handmade, put together. And then in the middle, we also had one supply, for the water going around the brush, and then one supply for water to the center. So in the center, we also had jets to create water inside the brush. And, and we also had a little jet so that when we got to the corner, we had a jet that would go to at least add water to the corner to help clean the corner and down the edges. Yeah. So that's the logic of saying I need to get my rinse in the right place. I need the rinse water in the right place. Yeah. So we started with this, and
how long ago was this?
Pete.
How long ago was this when this one came out?
This is 2015 construction.
2015.
May 2015. Yeah. And we angled. You look at these bristles are angled so that they naturally want to splay into the corner. And loads of bristles for the corners, but still, you still had to. Well, I thought you had to do this, but Pete's got a video, Harrison, of him using this brush.
God, I don't want to go back there. That's awesome.
Using this, but we still have people buying spare parts for this brush now.
Seriously, people still rocking it.
Yeah, there are guys who are going. It still works fine. They don't want to. Well, they'd upgrade a radio, but they go, why would I upgrade the radio? Yeah.
Les Ryan in New Zealand, he's got all the spare parts.
Yeah. And Ken in Canada, he bought 20 brushes off us when we said that we're taking them off the website. He said, just send me everything.
Seriously? Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's treating it like he found
Harrison, there's a video of where you can see this brush and Pete's in the corner. That video is dated. We don't know, do we?
Okay, let me go find it. I'll join you guys in a bit.
Okay.
Honestly, don't think it is that one, but it'd be very close to it.
Yeah, but it's got the non-anodized. You can see that the brush is non-anodized, right? It's after this we came out. The next generation of constructor brushes were coloured end caps. We had purple, red.
Don't forget the upgrade. Don't forget the upgrade to that brush.
What did we do then? Cannons. Oh, there you go. So we made a new mold to try and get the jets to squirt with a higher velocity and more direction and more laminar, right? We want the water to go laminar so it hits the glass and doesn't splash, right? So we added a barrel to all of these jets. And what we didn't realize is when you've taken the fly screen out, because we're practicing on commercial glass and no bug screens when we're practicing and designing and thinking. and then we get to parts of America where they got the bug screen, and when they take the bug screen out, they reveal a frame that was like whacking a guy in the teeth with a knife. Like it just would knock the guy would go up in a corner and then just knock these break them, wasn't it?
Oh man,
it was a disaster. It was such a good idea, but it created a new problem that we couldn't possibly foresee. So this is part of tool design. You solve one problem, you create another problem. That's why when you look at even in your business, if your business has been going for 32 years, there'll be elements that your dad goes, it's working, don't change it. Because
for sure.
He knows you
sure.
change anything and there's a ripple effect and you don't know where that ripple effect is.
Oh, for sure. There's so many things. I was like, Dad, why don't we do this? Growing up and stuff when I was 18, I'm 24 now. I'd be like, Dad, why don't we try this? And he's like, no, I went down that route 20 years ago. It's not a good route to go down. And I'd be like, whatever. Yeah. And I'd try it. And then I'd come back and be like, you were right. You know what I mean? Yeah. You were right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. That's it. So where do we go then, Pete?
We go after the cannons.
Yeah, on the rinse bar on the cannons.
Go. Yeah, that was all good.
Oh, the video's up.
I think there was a bit of a split around that time. There was guys working with.
That's me.
Is that
Jesus?
That beard is insane, Barry. That's amazing.
That's classic.
I think at that stage there was a bit of not a split as such, but people were working on different things.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I started going into pads, the bronze pad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that.
I was predominantly playing around with this.
Because you were selling bronze pads, the ones made in America, and you were selling them and saying, why can't we put them on the inside of the brush? And we were, like in all the conversations, we've always said, people always wanted us to make a reach around, so you had the why, and I go, that's the most inefficient thing in the world. Why would you create a new process? Why can't Why can't we do it at the same time? And I won't go backwards, because we've always prided ourselves on efficiency. So, so Pete, Pete's always at the beginning of every idea.
Well, that's similar to the
and it was
like
so
you said.
Simple. You could just slide the block into the existing.
Yeah.
channels.
So if you look at Tucker Alpha is a plastic block without the bristles stapled into it and a Velcro put on it, but it's just the plastic. It's a $2 block of plastic.
No, I was saying
it hasn't.
Like you talked about at the beginning with the rinse bar is that they tried it and they couldn't innovate and perfect it, and they took
the original Tucker,
So I was saying that's what I was talking about. Whereas you, were like, why would I make a Y when I'm onto something? I'm going to keep following this through. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. We're going to get to the efficiency. The efficiency is why would you have two steps if you can have one? In fact, the definition of efficiency is the combination of multiple steps into less number of steps. 3 into 2, 2 into 1.
Like
whatever.
This is like a very, very long process on making the exact same brush.
Yes.
Right? Like just improving and improving and improving, right?
Can you remember when you came over, Harrison, and went to Yanchep? Because that was one of the first days it was actually used on that house up in Yanchep Golf Course.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do remember that day.
Yeah, that was one of the first days of the bronze pad on it. But
so that was a bronze brush. We 3D printed a block, and then the block would slide in. Because if you understand, Noah, the idea was this aluminum channel that is the foundation of the brush. Everything slides into it. The bristles slide in. And these days, the bristles were plastic spine, plastic bristle, right? Sure. So and then we slid in the block, right, which is where Pete's up to.
Yeah, that you can see it's a bit warped now because it's been in the sun.
Yeah,
but that just slid in to the actual channels of the original brush,
and you can see the little I-beam channels. You can see the I-beam channels. Can you, Noah?
Yes.
Pete, Yeah, yeah. So there's 7 in this brush. There's 7 channels and 2 tube cavities, for going around the brush, which is what you've got on the rocker still. The rocker is built on this same 2015 frame.
It looks
it's
super
like
similar.
the chassis. It's like the chassis of a Tesla, right? You put a different body on it, and more or less batteries in it. If I could be so clever.
So while I was
All right,
playing around with this, others were playing around with different bristle sets in the middle, and different heights. But I was also going down to Bunnings, and I bought a mat was on the toilet seat because it was microfiber and big lumpy stuff. And that was beautiful. Velcro on it, stuck to it. I had all different types of material pads,
Scrubs.
different floor scraping pads. As long as it's stuck to it, you'd use it, try it out, and bang, yep, they're good.
Yep. And so what happened? What happened as a result of that? So you give the history, Pete, and I'll explain the application of it. When we released the bronze brush, it was a flat panel, right? Just a flat panel. But then the problem with a flat panel is that when you've got your pole going to the top of the window and then to the bottom of the window and then to the top of the window, this is an extreme because I'm going to horizontal.
Right.
But the relationship the relationship of the angle of the pole in relation to the window doesn't change. The pole changes angle. So when you have a flat pad, you're going from the top edge of the pad to the bottom edge of the pad to the top edge of the pad to the bottom edge of the pad. And there's just a tiny time in the middle where that pad is in touch with the window, the whole pad. Does that make sense?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
Yeah. So then we brought out a convex one, which was Window Weapon. Window Weapon had a convex, so at least some of the pad was always in touch, right, with the window, because we recognized that that agitation is so critical, to the person. But you still had the problem that when you get to the top of the window, the part of the pad that's in touch with the window is the bottom of the pad. When you get to the bottom, the part of the pad that's in touch with the window is the top of the pad. So you're not really taking the pad all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top. Back to you, Pete.
I think it was about that time too. We changed technique from straight up and down to a bit of and that
a little bit more like a fanning, more like the squeegee. Like in a sense, if you say what is the radial technique, it's exactly the same as your squeegee technique. Not everybody's, but definitely yours. Right? When I watched you on the window, it's exactly the same.
Yes.
Yeah. That is the fastest way to get a tool across glass. Yep.
And it was sort of more ergonomic for us instead of trying to twist our shoulders and everything, just to move your feet over a little bit and bend it that way.
Yep.
It was so easy.
And we put a pivot on it, didn't we? We had side to side back then. It wasn't. Now we've got
side to side.
Yeah, and I can't even remember what side to side. Side to side had a barrel lock and all sorts of things, so you could lock it off. Now we have pivot lock, but it's an accessory because you don't often need to lock a swiveling brush. Oh, you've got one? That's a side to side?
Yeah, that's side to side. That's locked. It was just a bayonet fitting.
So that's a bayonet sleeve that went over the top and locked it. I don't have one here, but it's a bayonet sleeve that goes over the top and locks it. Yeah, there it is.
So it's pivoting, but
and what we
that'll swivel, a bit like putting a light globe in.
Yeah, exactly like a bayonet light globe.
Slide up and lock it. Is that what you're saying?
Slide over and then locks like a bayonet, like a light fitting. But then we found out that hardly anybody is locking them. So then we thought, okay, well that's not much use.
Unless
there is a time to lock. Yeah, when you go really high, like above 3 stories, you want to lock your swivel. Maybe above 4, depending on the rigidity of your pole. Right, the more rigid the pole, the higher you can go with the swivel. But the other thing, Pete, is that we realized very much that how close that swivel is to the window makes a difference to the function of the swivel and the way that swivel works. So when you see people move that swivel away, so the swivel fulcrum point is further away, the swivel doesn't work anything like a radial brush. anything like a radial brush. And even back then in the constructor brush, we had it very close to the surface. But when we brought out radial, we added a 12.5-degree kick, didn't we, Pete?
Mm.
You remember that? And that was because when you get too close to a window and you're swiveling the brush, the brush will actually come off the glass on one side if you with a 90-degree swivel mount. But if you put 12.5 degrees down, you can keep all of the brush on the glass. It's so like there's so much because all of those things come back to us and say, "Oh, I've still got marks on my glass," like, and I'm putting on the voice, but criticism is never comfortable, but it's absolutely valuable,
necessary, for sure.
Right? For sure. They don't normally talk like that. It's usually aggressive.
Really? What?
Oh yeah, this brush is shit.
No, I
was standing straight underneath the window, and then I can't get the bristles on the glass because they kicked off the glass. Now maybe that they've got their angle adapter wrong, right? The 40 teeth angle adapter that may be wrong, and we got that wrong as well, didn't we, Pete? At the beginning, we only had 4 settings for that. That was my fault. Then we had to put tiny teeth in there, and then they didn't come out of the mold perfectly. So then they were, if you didn't do them up tight, they just slid and grinded each other out. God, they're little red tiny teeth.
Yeah.
Then what, Pete?
So I suppose next step was the making the radial bristle.
Yes,
that took forever.
We got the rinse bars right, we got the back end right, and it was just these bloody. Let's run our bristles around the end.
Yeah, because we had the bristle. The bristles were like were a strip of bristle, and we had them bendable, right? They were made from a special machine from Europe where you could actually bend the plastic.
Yeah. That's plastic there, so we could actually bend it into the end cap, so the bristles would stick into the corner.
That was Peter and Byron figuring it out that you could actually they bent the bristles around, and then we switched over to metal channels so that we could control the bristle quality, so that the bristles lasted for years. I could hope for years, and that was a nightmare to manufacture. Because you got to create a jig so that you can bend the bristles around the right arc. And
he's going forward about 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, it took so long to get the jig to work so that it's most of the time.
Yeah, it's not a rectangle. The channel is not a perfect rectangle, right? So you can't if you just put it in a jig and it's a perfect rectangle, you can just bend it. Right, and it'll go around, but the shape of the spine, the bristles are in here. There's a rod in here, and we've folded the bristles through it, and it clamps onto it like that. So it's that shape. So when you go to bend this into a 180-degree arc, right, it wants to go like that. And we go, no, you can't go like that. Otherwise, you got it like this, So it took forever. And the other thing, Harry, remember, is that the consistency of the spine wasn't it would as we bent it, sometimes they'd snap because they're just plastic. And the reason they'd snap is because we were trying to get to better and better quality bristles, but the melting point of the better quality bristles was higher than the melting point of the spine, and the machine wouldn't let us use the higher melting, so we got stuck with a level of bristle that we couldn't improve in constructor brush. And so then ultimately we made the decision to go from the lighter plastic spine to the heavier metal spine in order to get the better bristle and the perfect radial. That was, what was that, Pete? A year or a year and a half or longer?
Well, it was about that.
Because you keep thinking, I can do it, 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 I can think it, I can think it, I can work it out. And in the end we go, no, you can't think it out, got to change. Pivot.
And then some idiot, because who was it? There was a couple in America.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Craig, Kai, and Larry, I think.
Larry, Kai, yeah, Kai Chin.
Yep. They all worked out that okay, this radial, the single radial, will go into channels. What was it, 2 and 6, wasn't it?
No, 1 and 7. 1 and 7.
1 and 7,
the outside
that's right.
channels. Yeah.
But the end cap was the problem. You had to
Yep.
push the end cap back in.
Everybody
And
was melting. They were having to melt having to melt a channel for the plastic to sit in it, right?
Yeah. And
Wasn't it? Because the end cap was designed like this. The tube is in here, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can't pull that apart. That's too hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Rhino tube is in here. That's the 5/16 tube, and then it's got these channels that we slide the bristles into. But then when they made the radial, everybody was melting this so that the radial. Oh, there you go. So they were melting. Everybody was melting these, weren't you?
We weren't melting them.
Oh, you were just running it around the outside.
We were attacking them with Dremels.
Oh, dremeling them. There you go. So you could actually fit the plastic, and then that was the other thing where if we went to 2 and 6, the radius was tighter, and then the plastic would break, or it would deform, or it wouldn't hold its shape. So then if you bend a piece of bristle like this, and the bristles are pointing straight down, right, when you're straight, and then you bend it like this, the bristles go out like that by nature. If it's a plastic, have you got a piece of plastic bristle there, Pete? Like a strip?
One of those.
Yeah, pull one of those. Is that a plastic one?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you hold it sideways, and bend. Oh, that one doesn't do it.
No,
see,
this is a good one.
That's what we needed. Oh, so this one, this one's got the problem that you need the bristles to go out at 25 degrees. Otherwise, they won't naturally splay. You need to preset them so that they splay into the corner or they splay on the glass. If they don't bend like that, but then some of the bristles would go out and they'd end up out at this angle, when we bent the plastic. So then you go, and some are this way, some are that way, because nothing was perfectly consistent. I don't know why, but it wasn't. And we could never solve it, that we could get a consistent. So everybody this is the frustration that everybody went through. Everybody could make one DIY, and we couldn't make one for mass production. We couldn't get a consistent product for a year and a half, at least a year and a half.
Yeah, let's put it back together again. So this was one of the first.
There you go.
We all had it much the same way.
Yeah.
Sitting in the channel, and that was quite good. But I was still playing around with the pads and blocks, so I left that block in there. And
the block's running in 2 and 6. Can you see that? The block is using 2 and 6. There are 7 channels, right? 1 and 7 are the outside ones. The bristle is in those and curving. And then the block is in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that.
Right.
Yeah. So like
2, 3, 5, 6.
Like, just to bring this back to like window cleaners, guys. Like, just to bring this back a little bit to window cleaners, like throughout the tool design, we focus on making a brush that window cleaners could change so that the brush would be like a specific brush for the job that you're tackling. So that's what the constructor brush theory was. No window is the same. Everyone wants to have the right brush for the job, and that's the way they're going to do it the most efficient way. So let's make a brush that can be interchangeable. And that created all these problems for manufacturing one, and then actually in the execution, it didn't work so well. But because we did that,
but in the DIY,
because we did that, all the DIY guys started going, "Oh, let's just change this and change that," and that's where Radial came about.
Yeah, so that's what Pete's explaining as the first Radial. Yeah,
and then some idiot misunderstood what was going on, and I put this one into 2 and 6. So that's hooked up into the block channels in a little hole.
Yes.
That's only a little tiny bristle. It's like
Yeah,
mini
see how
end
it's
caps
playing
inside.
more? Yeah, yeah. Look at that.
So with a bit more hacking of end caps, I did what everyone else had done and made
And this is Pete.
the
Pete was the first person to put 2 bristles in radial, and he was lucky that the supply of bristles that he had, the spine was perfectly flexible, because
Really?
when the next batch, they'd break
Mm.
or
You
twist
see.
or whatever.
Mm.
So Pete could make one, Eric could make one, Larry could make one, everybody could make one, but when we go into mass production, not every brush was the same.
Right,
Sometimes the
right.
bristles were out, sometimes the plastic would break. Or
But then we discovered a new little problem that the end
we
caps
couldn't use the
that we
end cap.
had was all kicked up, and we didn't want
So we
that because
kicked-
we needed that
Yeah,
to be flat. So
we
hence,
kicked them up because the bristles were straight, right? We kicked them up so we could bend the bristles in there, and that would put the 25 degrees so that when you splayed on the glass, the brush would do this. Yeah. Otherwise, if you've got the bristles straight down, that just won't do it. It's a broom, you know.
so we ended up hacking them to bits and heating them up and bending them flat, and that worked.
Yes, that's what happened. That's what happened. So then, yeah, Sean Parsons is on the point, radial ultralight. So that's where Pete got to. And then we go, we need to make new end caps.
Well, then that was organised and that produced window weapons and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then Radial decided to poke its head out. The Radial brush.
2019. Yeah. And then it's the same. So Radial's got the round bristles. The reason why we've made the Radial bristles is because we realized that if we have round bristles, we can scroll all of those bristles through the corner and dig the everything's the wrong way around, and dig the spider webs out of the corner. And especially in Australia, we have a lot of spider webs, like similar to Canada. And you need to get those spider webs out of the corners and get them going down the frame. But you need, in order to get them to go down the frame, you also need a lot of water to flush them with. Otherwise, they stick to the glass, and you end up chasing them down with pencil jets. You know, the two things that slow you down is hydrophobic glass and spider webs, as far as rips.
Right.
You know. Pete,
The Radial.
Very nice. Where are you heading off to, Pez?
live chat.
Yeah, no. Let me handle the live chats. You're running presenting. Yeah, let me jump on it.
Thank you very much for your good advice.
Fantastic advice, but I've got.
Can you fit a radial rocket to an Unger and light? Yeah, this is how you do it. Yeah.
Can you?
Yep. I don't know about the latest
Two
one.
ways of doing it. You can undo the angle adapter.
Yeah. At this point here. At this point.
Yep. And that'll go straight onto the Unger adapter.
Yeah. Or
if you really, really loosen off the top clamp, apparently it might fit too.
oh, really?
It will.
Oh, interesting.
I've always done that.
Right.
Now,
Right.
the only holes which you can't do that on are these funny shaped ones, the non-round ones.
Right, but they've still got a Euro tip, haven't they? So we've got all of our brushes now have got the Euro female. So if you can get a Euro tip into your pole, you can screw it on. But almost all of them are using this particular design of angle adapter, which has got 40 teeth in it and a lever. So almost all poles, you just keep your angle adapter, the part that's going into the pole. This is a handle, but this is the part that's going into the pole. You just keep that part in your pole, and you undo it at this lever, and then reassemble it with the brush. That's another thing. Yeah, and they definitely fit the gardener poles. Yeah.
there is one supplier in Australia who supply a lot of them, and they're all the square fittings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you've got to get about two or three adapters to get to the aero
But-
fitting.
Yeah, but then you start pushing the fulcrum away, and then the radial. I mean, this is a stainless steel and brass, bush in there. Never wear, never rattle, never shake, never replace, and you don't want this getting moved away, and you don't want an angle out here, right? You want to be coming in straight as close to that as possible. Otherwise, the brush starts lifting off the glass when you start pivoting it. If you notice your brushes when you pivot it, especially when you're up close to the building and some bristles start coming off, that's caused by those type of wrong angles. But
And
it's a process. It's a progress. People find their way towards the full solution, step by step.
I haven't confirmed it yet, but I don't think they fit into Ionix pole because their number one pole. It's bigger. It's bigger on the ends and skinnier in the middle.
Well, we can make an adapter, Pete, if you can get the dimensions.
Yeah.
There's not that many people use them anyway, that I've found. Or if they use Ionix, they only use Ionix, kind of thing. They don't cross pollinate, the brands.
Well, you wouldn't want to switch if you paid 30 grand for a system. And I would be an advocate. I would be like, I'd be religious about it. I'd have the catalog. It would be in my home.
Oh God!
I'd go, Mom, have you seen this new system that I
spent $30,000 and you didn't? They put it all on. All those guys that sell, they try and sell everything on finance because they get a commission on the finance as well. They don't get the margin. If you have somebody in the window cleaning industry trying to put you on finance, dude, they are going to pick up another. They're going to hide another 10% in that how much per week you have to pay.
Oh, you might as well pay a little bit extra. What's the difference between paying like $50 a week and $55 a week? It's only $5.
Yeah, right. $5, but that's $1,000 commission to them. Anyway, back to Pete.
Yeah. So
where is he?
Radial has been released and working a treat, except for one part.
What? Oh. Yeah, because when we came out with Radial, we mastered the radial bristle in the channel, right? So you can see this one, like when we went to light and ultralight, we had to bend it even tighter and then keep the bristles so that they're still at 25 degrees, right? Yeah, there goes a scrub for rocker. But this is Radial here. So we got the Radial right? And we worked on the jets because the jets need. Like all of our jets before that would just squirt the jets straight out, like you see the copies, where they put rinse bars on broom style brushes. Then they just squirt the jets straight out. But the problem with the jets squirting straight out is that when that brush goes on the glass, it splays right down to the dual trim, whichever brush it is. Everybody has a dual trim for the purpose of splaying, right, to make sure that the bristles are set at the right angle for agitation. So then as it splays, now when your brush is splayed, it's now this wide, but your first jet is here. So all of this cut doesn't get rinsed. Yeah. And you go into the corner and whatever way you clean the corner, right? There's no way this jet can get into the corner while the brush is on the glass. So we realized we needed to get the water into the corners around across the, not just the brush you buy out of the box and you see this, but the actual splayed brush, when it's splayed on the glass. How wide is it on the glass? We want the water to go all the way out there. So then we had to work out how to bend the water to get it to go out, because you drill a hole and the water goes straight. You can't get it to go at a predictable angle. So that's how we had to work on that and work on that and work on that. But that's all top secret, trade secrets, how we do that. And then we go to end caps, right, Pete? Because then we had a 2-part end cap, and it was
fingered.
That's the wrong finger, Pete.
Yeah, two part had a really soft part outside, so that was quite flexible,
Yeah.
and that was going to try and protect the hard bit underneath.
And also protect the frame so you didn't get this, because I hate it when guys go bang, 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 and their poles are so floppy and they can't control it and their technique's so bad that they use the frames to control the brush, right? Bang, 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 right? And the poor customer inside hears the window cleaner bashing their frames. So
can you
anybody who
find
had
video,
that technique.
Harrison, you got that video there? He's gone.
I couldn't find it.
He's here.
I was looking for it, but I couldn't
The
find
jiggy
it.
jig, it's the one what you can see is you can see this brush with that color.
Oh, the jiggy jig. Hold on.
No, there's another one there when I've got the rail and I'm bashing it.
Oh. Hang on, he's on his phone
Anyway,
talking to his girlfriend.
I don't.
So
my
that was,
VPN access is not working from my computer to get to YouTube. So
Oh no! No, but
Yeah,
didn't Pete? We sent through all these videos. Pete sent all through all these videos, but you may not have them, Harrison. Are they not loaded up in the back? No, because Ben had an emergency, so he had all these videos to load up, but maybe we haven't got them loaded, Harry. No, you're right.
yeah, that's all right.
Pete's thinking that it's the ones which he sent across.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll go back to that another day, Pete.
So that was the start of many sleepless nights. How to fix these end caps.
Yeah, but the reason we at the time we also made it in two-part because go to your mold, Pete, and then I'll come back to the problem that we had. Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
silicon mold of the two parts glued together, stripped down. That's one half of it, and that's the other half. So that was a perfect mold of the two end caps, which went into
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's the mold, and you'd pour resin into that. We tried with different types of resin and produced one solid part.
So Pete made the first one-part end cap for the radial himself. At
Wow.
home.
Wow.
And the test of it was hitting it with a hammer.
Oh yeah. Have you got that hammer video, Harry? You can just it starts off where you can just see an end cap on concrete.
Driveway.
yeah, let me
Or
look for it.
driveway.
I've got technical.
I don't know what
difficulties.
Ben. Okay, you're right, bro. So we had a video with Pete bashing and hammering it, so
Oh, is
we
that already
proved that it
been
can never.
loaded? 'Cause I've got-
Maybe
I've got
yeah,
videos.
should be. Yeah,
I've
I think
got
Ben
videos
loaded
in the
everything.
background.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hold on.
Welcome to ServiceSixSigma.com. You are on.
That's the wrong one.
Yes.
Yeah, don't wait for me on this. Just keep going because I'm
Okay, so that's the thing is that Pete could make one, but the mold is a soft mold, right? And how many can you make? How many times can you make out of a soft mold, Pete?
Oh, unlimited.
Unlimited, but it's
Pretty
labor
much.
intensive, isn't it? It's labor intensive.
Yeah.
So we
You-
had to work
you-
out how to make them with an injection mold. When you get an injection mold, it's two parts go together. It injects the plastic, and then the two parts come out. And normally there are two. Oh, I've made a little love heart. Did you see that? The two parts get together, and it made a little love heart. And so the two parts get together, and then pins come in and push the piece of plastic out. But by the nature of the curve that we have to hold the 8mm 5/16 tube going around the outside, that is incredibly difficult. In fact, we had to make a mold where they would pry the part out as soft, the right hardness, the right softness, that it wouldn't break and it wouldn't tear, and they would pry it out of the mold. So we use a mold, but it's not, we can't pump out 1,000 an hour, But Pete could make them. So Australia had one part end caps for probably a year before we did, didn't they, Pete?
Can you imagine doing this? Oh, hang on. Don't know if that's going to work or not.
Yeah, that works. That works. Harrison could probably pull up full screen. That's Pete hitting it with a hammer to make sure somebody did a pole drop. Here we go.
Test.
Run it again, Pete. That's it. Yeah, good. No, straight. Yeah. There you go. No, portrait. Yeah, that'll do.
I don't want to stay there.
Okay. No. That's it. No distortion. Like, this is crazy because this is like, but there could be a year before where he said that's possible, and when I can actually mass produce it.
Right.
Out of a machine so that everyone's the same and and the factory didn't want to do it because probably when they pull it out of the mold, we probably have a 30% waste. And if you're a factory, you go 30% waste. Nobody's going to accept 30% waste. And I go, dude, you don't want to know what they're costing me now, Like, and I don't want to tell him because he might double his price, but, we could handle 30% waste, So
I've got the other test.
Oh, great.
I've got the other.
Oh,
What happened? There he is.
Oh, there you go.
Smacking that into a
Bashing
corner. Is
it.
that what you're doing?
Yeah, smashing it against the frame, because that's what, when somebody comes in and buys a radial and uses the Tucker technique, that's pretty much the Tucker technique. It's use the frame. If your pole's too floppy, you can't control. You've got no accuracy, not got no precision. The pole has got its own mind, right? So the frame becomes your
Here it is. Here it is.
Edge of your work zone. Look at that bottle. It's a 1 gallon water bottle.
Oh, my water bottle?
Oh, yeah. Here's the early jiggy jig. Right? That's why we have small brushes in our pack, because you can't do that with a big brush. You have to have a 14-inch brush. Yeah. It's like a 14-inch squeegee. It's the go-to tool. Yeah, look at that. But that's the understanding of going through the corners like that. And you can't do that with a square. You put a square brush in a square corner, all you can do is jam it in. So you just jam the debris in there and then hope that when you come out and rinse it, that somehow it's become loose, right? But when you run bristles through the corner, that's what Pete, again, is master of that.
That was date stamp 2019.
Well, that's when Radial first came out. So just as Radial was coming out, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see, Noah, there's quite a... What else we got, Pete? What other developments did we get into? Or did that's pretty... They are... Oh, yeah, we can go to the razor blade, but I'll tell you what happened from Radial. We went from Radial with 2 bristles to Radial Light with one radial bristle. And that became, the tighter we bend this, and then we go to Radial Ultralight, which is basically like a Sorbo squeegee, the width of it,
Right.
It's crazy light, crazy small. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. So this is light, and Noah's holding up ultralight. And then we didn't talk about the rocker plate, Pete. So rocker plate came before Radial rocker came before ultralight.
Yeah.
So that's a rocking pad, and the reason for that is we want the scrub to stay on glass. Yeah, do it again, Pete. We've got your full screen now.
Yeah. Goes back to the bronze wool you're talking about.
Yeah, this is where when you look at something like Tucker Alpha or Unga Power Paddle, but like there's just stuff the guys are missing, as far as efficiency of a window cleaner. And what we want that whole scrub to stay on the glass at all things. So as the pole is going up to the top of the window, to bottom of the window, top of the window, bottom of the window, that angle is changing, maximum around 20 degrees. So the rocker has a 20-degree range of motion. If you set it square against the glass with your angle adapter, that range of motion will take you from the top of the brush to the top of the glass to the bottom of the glass and keep the scrub pad on square on the glass. And then you get to choose the right scrub for your maximum efficiency. That's great, Pete. You did a great job. Look at that. And yeah, look at that. So that was a huge, as Chris Honey said, that is a huge upgrade. And then, Tucker's answer to that is to put Velcro on a plastic block. It's just like, but we know that they go, oh, you don't need the radio rocker. Like this will do the same because they've both got non-scratch pads. And you go, no, it's not the non-scratch pad. It's the science, of the relationship between the angle of the pole and the angle of the face of the brush and the window. That's the science. Yeah. And then, what then? Then we came out. Then we finally worked out how to. If you hold the radial ultralight up again, Noah, and you have a look, how tight is that? How tight is that radius? There's a steel bristle going around there, and the bristles are still splayed exactly 25 degrees, all the way around. And we bent the steel spine that tight. Oh, look at that sheen! See, turn it around again. You see that shine? That's why we went.
That's pretty good right there.
That is the quality. Yeah, on the bristle. Yeah, just the bristles. The quality of the bristle was so critical to us as an upgrade, and we couldn't do it with Constructor Brush. So when we came out with radial, you see that sheen? That sheen is truly a sign of the highest quality of nylon, and a pure nylon, right? Pure, no additives in there, like extra, no recycled stuff. That'll make it dull as dull, right? And then the other thing, you can see that the bristles get shorter. Now, the shorter you make a bristle is like a straw. Like a long straw is bendy, but a short straw is less bendy. So the shorter we make the bristle, even if it's the same diameter, the more rigid it becomes. So we could achieve the same as more bristles by making them shorter. And then, oh, hello, little puppy. Who's that?
Sammy. Yeah.
Annie.
You might be frozen, Pete. Frozen with a puppy. So then we got to the hybrid. We learned from Rocker that we could do hybrid agitation. I'm waiting for Pete's broadband to come good. So we learned. Oh, there you are. So we learned that we could do hybrid agitation. Your broadband, maybe jump out and jump back in, Pete. See if you can get a clean line. That's terrible. Yeah. So with the hybrid agitation, where we run the bristles are set at 35 degrees when they're compressed, 35 to 45 degrees at the glass. And then they do scratch agitation, any dust and dirt that can come off with a little scratch from a bristle. And the bristle is a blade. When you press that brush softly against the glass and you've got the water on, there's no water comes through the brush. There's no water under the brush. It's amazing. Right. Under the glass is dry, right? It's fascinating. And then, so that means that as those bristles are going up to the edge of the glass, all of the glass is being agitated, yeah, in a single stroke. Whereas when you've got pods of bristles like this, you're scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing to make sure some bristles have contacted all the glass. Otherwise, you get the little scratch marks in the dirt, right, on a cooked on dirty glass. So we get a blade of bristles so that they work as a blade. That then holds all the water. Where's that brush? That blade of bristles, when they're compressed, and by the way, we trim them so they are trimmed this way, right? And then so you got more bristle tips on the glass, and then because you've got a perfect contact with the window here, they break the surface tension of hydrophobic glass. The jets deliver the water just above there, right? and the jets in the jet stream, the pure water inherits the broken surface tension of the window, right, of the hydrophobic glass, and cascades the water. So every radial brush on the downstroke cascades regardless of hydrophobic or hydrophilic. So a super hydrophobic glass will behave hydrophilic underneath a radial brush with on-glass rinse, and the water will cascade. And sometimes Pete's done it where he's actually sent me videos. He's gone down and the window is dry above the brush because it's so hydrophobic, isn't it, Pete?
Yep.
So all of this, when we come up with something, we make it, we send it to Pete. He says, not going to work. What about this? Change that. What about this? Comes back to me. We make it. We send it to Pete. Peter is, really, really, in the last 3 years, like super critical to the probably that when we release a product now, we release it with with less problems than before.
Yes.
In the early days, we had more. We found out more problems from the customers. Now we find out more problems from Pete before we go to market. Yeah. And then the last one was the ultralight, which I think is the most amazing brush in the market for its genre, for its design. It is still a hybrid technology. It's dual technology for the agitation. You get the bristles are scratching, right? Any dirt and dust on the glass, and also breaking the surface tension of the glass so that you get a cascading rinse on the downstroke. So they have that function. And on the inside, you have scrubs. And all of our scrubs, the principle of a scrub is you're running the agitation parallel to the glass, right? So the same as a blade would work, and the scrubs on the radial rocker and all that. The scrubs on the ultralight can't be the same as the ones on the rocker because we can't stitch them, but these are the ones that don't need to be stitched. And so they run parallel to the glass. So anything like bee poo, artillery fungus, fern spores, fly poo, paint overspray, with the carborundum, the grey, blacky one scrub. In your pack of ultralight, there's a grey black one. That's super sharp. Yep, that one. That's super sharp. That's like emery paper, but it won't scratch glass. It'll scratch a surface on a glass, but it won't scratch glass. And that's ultralight.
Wet it first.
Hmm?
Any pad should go on the window wet.
Yes, must go wet. And Pete, and we've also got boar's hair. We've got Beast Light is radial light in boar's hair. Oh, look at that! You've got one. See that now? That brush, if you feel that and you compare it to the bristles on nylon, you don't really feel a lot of difference. They're hair, but if you wet that for 3 minutes, it changes completely. Like
right.
the way boar's hair works is wet, it goes soft. Like our hair, we get a bed head,
Right.
I do have hair under the cap, and you get a bed head, but dry, it stands up all curly like a mop top, like Pete, isn't it, Pete? But Pete coming out of the shower doesn't look like that. So if Pete was a window cleaner,
How do you know?
with his head.
How do you know?
I was just thinking that myself.
Yeah, how do you know?
Yeah,
That's awesome. Harrison popped in for a millisecond. Goes, how do you know? And then he was out again. That's hilarious. Bravo, Harrison.
So, and then from ultralight, we've got the scrubbies. We call them scrubbies because they're much smaller than the rocker scrubs. And then we went to French panes, which is basically an ultralight, 6-inch and 8-inch to match the cut-ups, which some parts of the world they call French panes. Sometimes they're called pane windows, and sometimes they're called cut-ups. And then, but that's like but that's a 6-inch scrub that cleans the glass, because if you were just cleaning regular French panes, you'd use radial light, right? This brush, and the bristles will go over the frames and over the glass and take everything off. But if the glass is dirty with stuff that doesn't come off with water and bristles, there's never been anything except by hand, right? That you can actually you got to blade it or whatever. So the French paintbrush has carborundum, magic eraser. Oh, Pete, you also came up with Tomcat, right? Our 2024 scrub.
Yeah,
Have you got one of them?
that's good. Sorry.
Have you got one handy? He'll be off to get that.
Wait,
So this is the same thing. Like Pete might see something in a shop or something like that and say this could make a great scrub, and then he'll send it to me and say, "Can you source this?" You know, because that he'll use it by hand, and then
Right.
he'll go, "Oh, that worked really well. This is great." Like so, Tom he found the Tomcat material, and the Tomcat material works amazingly on bee poo, and Perth has a lot of bee poo, So he's got a guy who works. Pete's got a guy who works with him called Tom, and Tom came up with he's the guy who found it and said, "Hey, let's try this." So this is the Tomcat scrub, which there are 3 agitations: there's scratch, scrape, and grab. The bristles scratch. They don't scratch glass, but they scratch stuff off the glass, you know. And the cheese grater and the steel wool and the bronze wool, they all run parallel to the glass and they scrape like a blade does. Yeah. And then you've got grab, and so does the white non-scratch pad. But the grab is your Green Hulk, your Tomcat, and your Magic Eraser. They have got and Boar's Hair, or they have got a higher surface friction, so they run along the glass. You know, like if you've got a squeegee without without water and soap underneath it, that's grab.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't do shit with that. You know, without soap underneath it. You know, so that's the logic. You're going from that back to how do I get this to work with only water underneath it, right? And that's where green rubber comes in. And then better than green rubber on bee poo is actually Tomcat. It depends if the bee poo's been cooked on. We don't know, you know, and it depends what the bees ate, before they poop.
Right.
I guess. But
Everyone says, "What's the best pad for this?" Well, depends where you are and what it is.
and how long it's been
Very good point.
cooked.
It's part of the armory to attack it.
Yeah. And it's so Noah, like, you know, you've got to try them all and work out what. But first you think, should I scratch it, scrape it, or grab it? If it's just
Right.
dirt and dust, right, scratch it is fine. Nylon brush, you know. But if it's cooked on, do I need to scrape it and get underneath it, or do I need to grab it like a wax or a sticker residue? Sticker you can scrape off, but you need to grab the residue. You can't scrape
Right,
the residue
right.
off. Yeah. So then you'll use magic eraser to get the residue off.
Very true.
Crazy, eh?
Good. And
Then we get ultralight, then we get French paints.
are at an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, lovely. Okay, it's about the time. Yeah, we normally go an hour and 15. And then we've got G-Force, E-Force, and Z-Force, but that'll be for another day, Pete.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
Harry, can you-
got a
can-
luncheon. Yeah, I've got to go to a luncheon with the staff members today.
oh, you and Tom?
Who am I going with? Today I'm going with Jack and his mate Daniel.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Hey, so Harrison, so for those who are interested in the brushes, right, we've just put up a new pack into the store, which it's a light, ultralight pack. So it's a light, an ultralight, and and the 2 French paints. And US dollars are $4.99. Yeah. And then if you're in Australia and you're watching this and you want to grab it from Pete, it's probably $7.99 in Aussie dollars because of the exchange rate, which sucks, but it is what it is. And but Harrison, can you put Pete's phone number up for us, please?
Pete, you're
So,
all good with
anybody-
your phone number up, right? Just checking.
What?
Pete, are you okay with Harrison putting your phone number on screen?
Yeah.
No, not that one. No, not that one.
We'll get there
0417
one day.
979 767. 0417 979 767. Service 63. So how did you find that, Noah? How did we
Which
go?
one?
Yeah, how did you find the whole chat?
I loved it. I feel bad. I'm sorry for not talking. I've literally just been sitting and listening and taking it all in. I wanted to
But
let
it was
you two
really
handle
helpful.
this one.
I know, but it was really helpful having you there because actually I was talking to you. You know, I had somebody to talk,
Yes.
right? To say, hey, we did it like this and like that. And that helped us, certainly from my side, helped me keep it on track because I was, you know, you're interested in the process, the progress, you know?
Yes.
And so that was a huge help, you know?
Yeah, it's super fascinating stuff. It's super fascinating stuff.
Nobody would know, right? If you know, nobody would know how much goes into it. And every time we make a mistake, we have to throw away 5,000 pieces. Like, okay, we used 4,500 pieces. Just throw them away, right? Or,
Right.
you know, and Pete, you know, it's incredibly frustrating to see stuff that isn't right, but it is what it is, you know. Can you take us all off screen, Harry, so that we can see Pete's phone number? There we go. Look at that. Message Peter 0417 979 767 because you can't all ring him at once. But it's going to be if you go to Future of Cleaning, you can see the pack. If you're in Australia, ring up Pete because Pete carries all the stock and sells a lot. He's our distributor down in Australia as well as being a great friend and really
The phone number on the bottom of the web page comes straight through, doesn't it, Tanya?
Oh yeah, there's also one on our webpage if you look at the Australian distributor, but this is Pete's direct number. We've got a number that diverts to Pete. Yeah.
We got to have him on another time to talk about Flow Gold.
Oh yeah, Pete is the master of Flow Gold.
I'm so
he's the one who
learning about
he's
that
been
one.
building. He's been building them for. He's been converting our Flow Red Plus to the essence of Flow Gold for 18 months. It's taken us that long to get it into a commercial product, and it doesn't come out until April. Yeah,
Right.
but yes,
I was reading about it, and it said at the very end, it said something Peter Thomas. Let me pull it up. But I noticed that last time I was looking at it. The very end.
Me.
It says Flow Gold is inspired by Peter Thomas in Perth, Australia. And I saw that right before we got on the meeting, and I'm like, I am excited. You know what I mean? I was like, hear these guys talk. This is gonna be awesome.
Great. Well, we'll do it again for sure.
Yes.
Tool talk. You know, I know tool talk sounds corny, but it is tool talk. And I geek out on it, as you can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Peter, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
It's all right. I'm here.
You are.
Now that I'm semi-retired,
You're a man of few words, Pete.
Well, you can never get in with someone else on screen, can you? He said the other day, I'm going to sit back and just listen for a while. No, didn't happen.
Yeah, we'll bring. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get Harrison to mute me, and Noah can interview you next time.
Oh, so many questions. So many questions.
I get too excited. Sorry, bro. And then I get to your place and fall asleep in front of the television.
Yeah, for 2 days.
Talk shit.
That's how you found out about the shower. Got it.
There it is.
It's all right. It's okay, Harry. We've all been in the spa together too.
Yeah. Pete relaxes every night in the spa, nearly every night. That's where his great ideas come from, don't they, Pete? Woodstock and spa.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, guys. Very, very great. And thank you, Noah, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be great. And we'll see you next week, I guess, is it? Unless you pop in like Harrison does.
I might be able to pop in. We'll see.
Yeah,
I usually watch as an audience member when I'm not on here. I'll pop in for a little bit, 10, 20, 30 minutes here and there and watch and see what you guys are talking about. But
yeah,
I will see if I pop in. That'd be good too.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Anyone in Perth who wants to get together, there's a little gathering at Gage Roads in Fremantle on Saturday afternoon about 2:00. The Oracle and the Mod Man.
Oracle and Modman host Oh, Wild Talk. Oh, yeah, because when you see in this pack that we released, there's a handle. The radial handle is this, right? And it means that you can, especially with the French pains, I put it on a light. But if you wanted to use it as a hand tool, you can, and then you can put it back onto your pole using the pole stem, which goes up there, and blah blah blah. But anyway, it's there. There you are. He's got that. All right, we better wind it up. Thank you, Harrison. If you could take us to the out screen. Do you know which one that is? It's white with a bit of music.